Hi everyone, it's Eric Smithson from the OC Goodwill, and I am very excited to announce our next guest and introduce her. She is one of my most favorite people. It's Kate Keesee, and she has been using her amazing design skills and her great eye for amazing items to decorate her home for years, and we are so excited to be partnered with her. She is just really one of a kind, and I'm really excited to be able to tell you that she is going to be taking us into her kitchen and showing us around there, and also talking about the sustainability items. And the great news is that if you donate during her segment, you will be entered in to win some amazing prizes. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Kate Keesee.
Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm so excited to join Orange County Goodwill and partner for such an amazing cause today for Goodwill. Today is Giving Tuesday. And I just want to go ahead and start with love for Orange County Goodwill and where my heart comes in all of this. Sorry, I've got Rob and Gracie here doing my technical support, so we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so I started my journey being a thrifter about 27 years ago, and I started with Orange County Goodwill. I was a single mom, and I found it to be an amazing way that I could take care of my children and still do my wardrobe for work and furnish my home and all types of things. So from that point on, I transitioned into having a fully thrifted home, and from everything. So pretty much everything that's in our home, including our clothing, is all thrifted from different locations of Orange County Goodwill. Yes, I do thrift at other locations as well, but that pretty much my heart is at Orange County Goodwill. So today I asked for a donation standing for $1 for every year that I have been a brand partner for Orange County Goodwill. I came on in 2016, so it's a $4 donation, and you get to win some really fabulous prizes. I have some wonderful makers that have donated, and these items, if you give during my segment, those items will be shipped to you if you are a winner. And I'm so excited to get started and share with you our latest project. I flipped our kitchen for $300 a few years ago, but just last week we did this open shelving, and I'm so excited to share with you all of the beautiful accessories that you see here have all been thrifted from Orange County Goodwill. One of the things that I like to share about thrifting is that persistence pays off. You have to go in constantly. It's not like you could just stop in once in a while and you're going to walk out with a shopping cart full of items. So that's one thing that I always try to share with everyone, is that the more you go, the more you're going to be able to find some really wonderful things. Going to the gym, you can't go once and get into great shape. So I always kind of use that as my little mantra. The more you go shopping and thrifting, the more you are apt to find things and learn the store. One of the reasons why I was so happy to partner for this is that Orange County Goodwill was just not something for me to teach people how to save money. Orange County Goodwill became a part of my extended family. One of the things that has happened over the past 20 years is that I've not only gotten to know the store managers, but I've gotten to know the store employees as well. And this is why it's a big part of my heart and my challenge in asking for the donation during my segment today. There are so many of these people that I know. Personally, I walk into different stores and I am able to hug these employees. I know about their families. I know about their struggles. And they are really a deep part of my heart. I've missed so many of them during this shelter in place. It's very difficult. I was so used to seeing their smiley, beautiful faces every single day. And because I thrift about 5 to 6 days a week, 5 to 6 stores a day. So it's my passion. I love it. And it's one of the things that I'm such a strong advocate for. Also during my segment, feel free, jump in, ask questions. I want people to interact with me. If you've ever attended or watched the live events that I do at Orange County Goodwill, I love that audience participation. I don't want to just stand here and talk to you the whole time. I'll go ahead and keep talking though until I get some questions coming in. One of the things that I love is the houseware aisle. I have been able to find, as you can see, I've got some wonderful pictures. I love Ironstone, so it's one of the things I always look for in pottery. I'm a big, big fan of pottery. I love Crate and Barrel, and I love West Elm, and I love Williams and Sonoma and all of those, but I don't like their prices. So I love shopping the Goodwill and finding those exact name brand items, and that's what I did when I was looking for these things. I wanted those key pieces, and I found them. Also, my light pendants that so many of you asked me on Instagram about, these are from Orange County Goodwill. It took me 3 months and 6 different stores. I found one in one store and one in another, but it paid off for me. And that's the thing that I love to share with people, is that you can get textiles, you can get so many things. All of our kitchen textiles, all of our bedding, everything is thrifted. And I love it. I love the thrill of the hunt of going in there and finding things that make our home beautiful on a budget. And you're supporting a great cause as well. One of the things that I like to share with people about thrifting is when you go into the store, unless you are someone that thrifts all the time, you may feel a little overwhelmed when you first walk in. And that's because if you don't know sort of the layout, you're trying to take it all in. And so I always tell people, if they want to start thrifting, to just sort of take it in by sections, and maybe take 2 sections on one visit and then hit another section at another visit. My favorite aisles are the textile aisles and, of course, housewares. I have an amazing wooden spoon collection, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. I don't know why, but I just love these old wooden spoons and cutting boards. In fact, this is one of my favorites right here that I scored at the Garden Grove store. I've treasured this for years. It's a very old and worn. Obviously, I cure everything and clean them, but this is one of my favorites that I got for $3. Absolutely love it. Recently, when I did some reorganizing during the shelter, right before shelter in place, I found these wonderful, it's like a linen with a beautiful wood fabric here, and I absolutely love this as well. Sorry about people messaging. So again, first, the other thing is that we are a big family of sustainable living. We try to reduce waste and find things that can be recycled, upcycled, and so that's another thing. I hardly ever purchase anything brand new unless I really have to. It's something that I feel so strongly about. Not only do I use all of these items, I try my best to just keep finding more ways each time I go and looking at it at a deeper level of cutting down that waste, items going to the landfill. And I love giving items a second life. Recently, I had a follower give me a basket, and I fell in love with it. I turned it into a plant stand, but I couldn't just toss the handle. So the handle is up here on my shelf. I just put it up there to add a little bit of a layer to my open shelving, and it makes me think of her all the time. I love glassware as far as, I propagate plants as well, which I'm going to talk about a little bit again today. So as you can see here, I store our utensils. They're not in a drawer. Even before we put these shelves up, they were always in glass jars that I thrifted. It's just easier. We can get to them and use them in our kitchen. And I love to look at them because I thrifted all the silverware. So some of it is vintage, and there's initials and different types of things as well. So feel free to ask questions. I want to talk. Okay.
One of your viewers wants to know, do you mix and match pattern dishes, or do you stick just to white?
I do mix and match pattern dishes, and I do kind of switch out. Right now I have pretty much all white, but if you see over here, like, I tend to switch out the patterns on the coffee mugs and things like that. I found these at the Garden Grove store, and I loved that blue little rim on there. So I will switch out. Depends on the time of the year, and I will mix and match all kinds of patterns. As you can see, see how the pottery has a texture, and that's something that people are always a little bit afraid of. They think that if it's not all matching it's not going to work. I'm not a fan of matching everything. I'm a fan of more of a juxtaposition of mixing things up. I incorporate that in my style at home and for clients as well. As you can see, I have some beautiful vintage enamelware that was gifted to me by one of my friends here on Instagram who is a thrifter as well, Carol Estes, and I love just mixing it all up. You see you have china, you've got pottery, then you've got enamelware, I've got some copper, and I've got glass. So for me, it's just a way of mixing and just doing what you love. Do you have another question?
Yeah. Another follower wants to know, what is your biggest don't when it comes to thrifting for your home?
Okay, so my biggest don't when it comes to thrifting, I actually have a funny story. So my biggest don't is do not take it or leave it in the aisle or take it out of your cart if you're still on the fence. That is the one thing I cannot stress enough, because those of us that thrift all the time, there's a rule. Once you let go of it or you put it down, it's up for grabs for anyone. And I can't stress that enough. I'll meet people and they'll be on the fence in the Goodwill and they're like, I don't know if I should get this. I'm not really sure. And I said, well, just keep it in your cart until you know 100% you do not want it, because chances are you're going to put it down to think about it. And when you go over an aisle, someone's going to snag it up. And when I first came on Instagram, my first year, we had a little funny incident that happened. I used to do a lot of live feed in the beginning at the Goodwill when I was shopping, because I was so excited and passionate. I wanted to show shoppers what the store looked like and all the amazing things that they had. And so one day I was in there and I found this rug and it was adorable and I loved it. And so I was filming live and I had the rug down on the floor in the Goodwill and I was showing it. And, you know, I got so caught up in the moment talking to my followers, I sort of forgot that I was on a live feed. And so a lady from, you know, a couple of, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet from behind me started yelling at me and said, that was my rug. And I found it in the aisle on the end cap. And so I said, well, if it was yours, it should have been in your cart. And anyway, long story short, she decided she was going to try and take the rug. And I had my camera, my phone down, and without even thinking, I just brought my phone back up. And so it was right on her. And she could tell my seriousness in my face, like, you're not getting this rug. And I rolled it up and I put it in my cart. And she's tried to, you know, kind of banter back and forth with me. And I said, no, you should have let it go. It's mine. And so a lot of my followers tease me. And I am very kind of savage at times about thrifting, because it's the truth. If you find something and you love it, don't let it go. Put it in your cart. By the time you get up to the register, if you decide you didn't want it, then let it go and put it back. But other than that, that's my biggest don't.
Someone wants to know, when is the best time to shop?
The best time to shop. The best time to go for me, and for those of you that are local here in Orange County, for me, it's between 10:30 and 1:30. The carts are coming out. The shelves are getting stocked with new merchandise. Fresh things are being moved around. I'm not saying you can't find anything wonderful later on in the day, but for me, that is my prime time. I love that time. People tend to flock the store after work, and I think sometimes you don't have the same shopping experience. I'm a fan. I mean, sometimes I'll pop in the store at 8 o'clock at night and just do the last hour, just because I love thrifting so much and I want to see what's there. Do you have any more questions?
Someone wants to know, what's your favorite find you have from the Goodwill?
My favorite find is a room and board sofa that I no longer have, but I had it for over 10 years. I found it at the Orange County Goodwill in Brea, their Brea location. And it was one of those things that it was just an absolute lucky moment for me. I had been looking for a sofa that was sort of linen or tweed, and I couldn't afford one. And so I just was doing my normal Saturday morning at the Goodwill. I arrived at the Brea location, and I happened to peek up against the glass, and I saw this sofa coming out onto the floor. And I could not even wait the 10 minutes. I was the first one standing in front of the door. And the minute the doors opened, I ran in and I grabbed the seat cushion and I ran to the counter. It wasn't even tagged yet. And I ran to the counter and the manager said, hi. And I was like, hi. I said, I really want to purchase this sofa. So it was a sofa from Room and Board, which is a really great store in LA. And it was a floor model that they donated to Orange County Goodwill. So I got it, and I had a 25% coupon and I used it. So I got the sofa for, I think, $47 and some odd cents. And if you look at my older pictures on Instagram, you can see that sofa. I loved that sofa. It was amazing. So that was my best find ever. But there are so many finds that are great for me that I have an emotional attachment to them because I'm so excited about finding these pieces, like that little cutting board or something like that.
Is there something you won't ever leave behind when you see it in the shop?
If I love something, I won't leave it behind. I try to tell people that write to me, if you stand there, you'll talk yourself out of it. So my rule of thumb is that if you love it, just grab it. Just grab it, and you will find a spot for it in your home. Your home should tell your story. It should tell the story of who you are, your family. And for me, all of the pieces in our home, it's us. It's the story of us. So if you love it, don't leave it behind.
A good question came in. How do you mix decor trends?
Okay, so I'm self-taught. For those of you, if you're new here, if you followed me for years, I do not have any type of interior design background. I just do what I love. So for me, I love to layer. I love patterns, texture, and sometimes, obviously, you know, I'm more of a neutral fan with injections of color, not a ton of color. So typically what I like to do is just, if I love the pattern, let's say it's a pillow or it's a throw, or maybe it's just a plate, and I absolutely love it, I will bring it home and I will sort of play in my shopping cart while I'm in the Goodwill, and I'll find a couple of things that looks like it'll go with it. Like I almost use it like a mood board. And once I see it, I'm like, okay, I got it. I have a feeling, because I don't hoard anything. Everyone knows that follows me. I'm pretty much a minimalist. You won't see stacks of stuff in our home. Everything that is on display, it's not to look pretty. Everything is used. So everything that is being on different shelves or in different spots or on top of the table, it's items that we use all the time.
Do you just shop for your own home, or do you shop for others too?
I do shop for others too. I do design work here in Orange County, and a lot of my clients are very open. So I would say 75% of my clients' homes or their Airbnbs that I revamp for them, they are open to me bringing in thrifted pieces. So sometimes I will do a property all in thrifted pieces from Orange County Goodwill. So yes, I do shop for others.
Another viewer wants to know, do you have a specific vintage set of dishware, fabrics, or furniture that you always look for when thrifting?
For me, I love Ironstone, so that's something that I always look for when I'm thrifting. I'm always in that section looking at. I love vintage copper, and of course, this might be a great time to talk about my amazing spoon collection. Obviously, I can't show you all of them, but these pieces just melt me. And every time I go to the Goodwill, I have to look in the aisles and just see. And sometimes I just come home with one, and these are all clean the way I take care of them. And I use every single one. And then one of my dearest friends, Carrie, who lives up in the Bay Area, she thrifts her Goodwill. And she's such a sweetheart. She will send me a box with goodies. And this was one that she thrifted at her Goodwill. And look at the detail. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got all these different like spiral colors. Absolutely love it. And I send her things as well. But I look for different things like characteristics. So this is something that I always look for when I'm there, is that. And I also love like vintage can openers. And I'm going to show you like the wood ones that you use to open up like a soda pop bottle. This is probably one of my favorites. I've had this for, gosh, since my boys were little. So love this. So this is something else that I look for all the time. But I love housewares. That's just me. I could look at them all day long. Here's another little goodie that Carrie is like green pepper, and it has a little spoon. And I love wood dishes. I use them all the time, and you'll see them out when we have family gatherings, when I'm entertaining. I use them to corral beauty products. I use them obviously to plant plants. Okay, so the the vendors that I have giving away today, one up first is the Lumia, and they are giving away for any of you that donate this beautiful Turkish, and it's a very generous size. It's called their Sophie blanket. If you go to my stories on Instagram, you will see it. So one lucky donator will win this. I also have Textured Ink that is doing 2 sets of, well, actually 4 pillows from their new line. You'll see the graphic in my Instagram stories. Sugar and Dirt Designs, amazing little sweet pillow. And then Amante Marketplace, which so many of you talked, because when I did the outdoor shower, they sent me my towel throws. And so one lucky winner will win one of their baskets and their towel throw. And then Audrey and Hank from Anything Rustic are generously giving one of their very beautiful vintage chapati boards. I think I'm saying it correctly. I'm sorry, I am melting in my kitchen. So anyway, there's some really great prizes. And the last prize that I want to give out to one person that donates is one of the things that was really on my heart the last time we did a styling event was so many of you are trying to beautify your backyards and beautify your home and wanted to learn a little bit more DIYs. And it is kind of hard sometimes, even when I teach a workshop, to have everyone in there at one place. So what I wanted to do was give 2 lucky winners a one-on-one DIY in my backyard and build a bench or a miniature living wall that you could take home and work. But I want to do something hands-on with 2 lucky winners. So that is 2 of the last prizes for what we're donating during my segment. Any more questions?
Where do you get your inspiration?
My inspiration really for me is things that I see, which most people wouldn't like really understand, but sometimes, so you guys know that I love to go dumpster diving. So a lot of times people's trash is my inspiration. And there's a story behind that. I was adopted in Orange County. I was one of the first children adopted by a single parent that had never been married. And I was very unhealthy as a child, even before my lupus diagnosis. And no one wanted me because I was unhealthy. So I got passed up every weekend for visitation rounds. And my mom, bless her heart, saw something in me. And for some reason, she cultivated that. And from the time I was little until the time I got older, I have such a spirit of wanting things that other people don't want. And if you really think about it, all the pieces that end up in the Goodwill stores are things that people didn't want. So it was no use to them. That's why it's there. And I am a firm believer in giving second life to something. I think sometimes we have pieces and we look at them and we think, I don't know what to do. This is old, whatever, and you get rid of it. And so that's sort of my standard as far as how that's what speaks to me.
No questions.
No more questions. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about sustainable living. The one thing, like I said, I love to use glassware, and that's something that I always do. Rob and I also rescue a ton of reclaimed wood. And as you can see over here, we build everything that we use, like our towel racks and any type of stand or coffee table or farm table. And so when we were redoing the kitchen, we used our scraps to do this, these little hooks so that I could hang my things in the kitchen. I think so many times, you know, if you're driving by and you see a pile of wood, most people don't think about that. But for me, it's like, it's a treat. And I can't wait to bring it home and work on it. I do many weekends consecutively of driving through alleys looking for people, furniture, broken patio furniture, anything that's wood, pieces of wood. I bring it home. Obviously, I have to make sure that it's not termite ridden and things like that. But I save what I can and I bring it home and I rescue it and we revamp it into something else. And it is one of my greatest joys. And I love sharing that with people as well. Rob and I have the tendency to find old dressers that are busted up or it's missing so many drawers, but it has a few left. And so this is one of my favorite things to do, is to add little pieces of wood in an old drawer or desk drawer and turn them into like silverware or cutlery holders. I love doing this. Even inside my drawers here, And I have to tell you about this cabinet. I thrifted these placemats from Orange County Goodwill. I don't use contact paper inside of the drawers, so all of my drawers and cubbies down here are lined with placemats that are fabric, so I can wash them every so often, and I love doing that. There's no sticky residue. It's easy to clean, but again, it's a way to sustain and reuse and repurpose. So our home was built in 1950. This kitchen is only 10 by 11, and so there was only 2 spaces, there and here. And so that's why we don't have a microwave, because I was like, I can't give up a counter, and I really didn't have room for like a microwave cart or whatever. So he was moving, and he used to work at, got this old biology cabinet from a classroom, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And he had ordered a big dumpster, and I said, "What are you doing with that?" He said, "I'm gonna throw it away." And he told me what it was, and I said, "Oh my gosh, please don't throw it away. Can I have it?" So obviously the top was longer, so we measured it to fit this space. I used to have an old, you know, like a inexpensive cabinet here, but it wasn't doing me any good. So Rob cut it, and we fitted it. I refinished it. We sprayed the handles to make it, and this really thick top here, because it was a biology, you know, the kids did their dissecting and all of that. So this is just when I cook, because my stove is right here, and pots and pans are stored in here. My wooden spoons, my utensils, my knives, and everything that I need. So I am such a big fan. People send me photos all the time and say, "Would you save this, or would you keep this?" And so I try my best to sort of give them ideas. But if it's old or it has an old wood patina, I'm a huge fan of it.
One last question is, what are your top 3 tips for being a successful Goodwill shopper?
Top 3 tips of being a successful Goodwill shopper: go frequently. Number 2, have an open mind. Do not go into the Goodwill saying, "I need to find this item." Chances are you won't find it. Be open. And third, look in the unexpected places. And I tell this during my styling events. People will walk around with something, and they're not going to take it back to where they found it from. So they'll either tuck it in somewhere else, or they're going to leave it on the end cap, or they will dump it at one of the displays by the register. So the last thing I do before I go to the register is I check all of the end caps. And I always like to tell people, get your exercise, have elevator eyes. Do not just look right here. Go all the way down to the last shelf and kind of look all the way to the back. I have found some of my greatest pieces doing that, because people think either they're going to hide it or they're going to come back. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm speaking to one of you, sorry. But that's my 3 top tips as being an effective Goodwill shopper. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about plant propagation. It's something that I just kind of incorporated in recently using my pieces and vessels from Orange County Goodwill. A lot of you know that I'm a big fan of what they call a mother-in-law tongue or a snake plant. And I guess a lot of people didn't realize that you can tear a leaf and propagate from that. So I want to talk a little bit about that. My mom has a green thumb. My grandmother and my aunt had a green thumb. So luckily I got some great tips from them. So snake plants, these were all just one leaf, and you just put them in water. You don't have to fill it all the way up, and it'll start to take root. And once it starts to take root, and it's a good amount of root, you can transfer it into the dirt and it will grow. It's a hardy plant. It's hard to kill. Same thing with succulents. I love to just grab like a little leaf, or what we call plant borrowing when we're on a walk. Sorry. And placing it in some water, and there you go. I will propagate in coffee mugs, old food jars. It doesn't matter what it is. If it can hold water, I'm going to propagate something in it. The one thing that I love about the plants is just there's so many different things in it. It's good for you, obviously, with the oxygen and things like that, but it's a great thing for you in here, because you just watch it grow, and then you can replant and get more plants out of it. So I try to share a lot of propagation tips as much as I can. I have a hashtag on Instagram called Propagating. So if you share your propagation tips with me and hashtag me, our little team will share you in our Instagram stories. Another thing I think people don't think about when I was a single, I colored flowers, so I was a big fan of cutting tree branches or picking them up when they have fallen on the ground and getting a little snip from them. And as you can see, this is what I do in my kitchen, and we love it. And it just adds that greenery, and it saves you money, and it's budget effective. So before I close out, I just wanted to share how wonderful it was to talk with all of you. Again, if you have the opportunity, I think they're going to leave up the my window of donation time for those of you that want to donate and win a prize. This is a deep part of my heart. These people, like I said, are my extended family. I miss them deeply. So if you donate the $4, it would mean the world to me. And Eric, I love you. Eric brought me on board 4 years ago. He saw something on me on Instagram, and he's blessed my heart. It's been a joy to work for Orange County Goodwill. Moxie Marketing, Jeanette and her team have been absolutely amazing. Nicole, Tamara, I'm truly blessed and honored to be a part. Later on today, you will see all of the influencers that are teaming up as well. They're absolutely amazing, so please come on and watch them and support them as well. So thank you so much.